Good afternoon, Louisiana, and welcome to Bayou Bets for Thursday, May the 18th. I'm Zach Ewing, along with Jim Derry, dealing with a slight technical issue, so I hope this holds up for us, Jim.
Yeah, well, it's called I think the kids have done something. They've rustled around their first day off of school. They've unplugged things here and there. So I blame it on them.
Chewing on wires or something. Like, come on, guys, we got 85 days. So who's counting?
Well, that's what I mean. I was impressed that, I was in a text thread earlier with someone else and is it too early to start counting days until the kids go back to school? And right off the bat, you knew exactly how many it was. I was pretty impressed at that.
Well, we're going to Disney World, and we have a countdown on the fridge the kids are keeping, and it's at 71 days. And then we're there for 8 days, and then it's 4 days after that school starts. So I kind of had a cheat code. But it's around
that is kind of cheating. Yeah. Well, we don't have any of that. We're going off this weekend to a campground for 2 days. That's all I get. Okay. I don't know that we're doing anything else. So they're going to drive me insane.
I'm not so sure that Disney World is going to be any better than having them sit at home, by the way. But it is the summertime. The sports calendar has not really slowed down yet. Still a lot to talk about. This is your one-stop shop for sports news in South Louisiana and sports betting news. Check us out on bet.NOLA.com and also subscribe to the Bayou Bets YouTube channel. Lots to talk about on today's show. Let's get to some headlines, Jim. Bryson DeChambeau leads the PGA Championship. There's a name from 5 years ago that
plus 11,000, baby. Plus 11,000.
Yeah, you got some nice odds. I got him in some DraftKings lineups, so I'm okay with Bryson DeChambeau winning this thing. Even I think a lot of PGA people probably aren't okay with it.
ABP.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But Scotty Scheffler among those in a Group 1 back. We'll talk about that and the live odds as they play round 1. NBA playoffs, the Nuggets and the Heat win game 1s of the conference finals. So one favorite and one underdog winning there. We'll talk about that.
We had them both.
LSU baseball at Georgia. And this is a bigger series than people would have guessed just a month ago. LSU is down to number 5 in the country. You start messing around and lose this series. Georgia's not very good. All of a sudden, that top 8 seed, which is what we've been saying all year long, is the most important thing for LSU. Just make sure you can host a super regional. That's in real jeopardy if they should lose this series. So that starts tonight. And then at the Preakness in the horse racing world, Mage, the Kentucky Derby winner, is the favorite.
Not going to
happen. Daniel Berry is here. Will the Lakers beat Denver?
No.
I'm seriously interesting series to me, and we'll get there. We'll get there. But what we did ask y'all on Monday is who you think will go all the way and win the NBA title. This is our bet.NOLA.com poll. You can still go vote, but here are the results for the first 3 days. And I put in the current odds. Now
that Heat numbers jumped up.
Yeah, when we opened this poll, the Heat was 15-1, and the Celtics were plus 105 favorites. So a lot of y'all hopped on the Nuggets. I don't know how many of that was after they won game 1. But 42.9% strong contention likes the Denver Nuggets.
Last night when I did the newsletter, the Heat were at 2.9%. So just today alone, the picks on the Heat have bounced up from 2.9% to 6.3%. That's a significant jump. I said Nuggets before the playoffs started. We're only 1 game in. I still say Nuggets. So I'm with Joe Q Public.
Yeah, I think the public's probably still betting the Lakers.
Probably.
I don't know. That's an interesting series. But we're going to keep that open. We'll probably show results again.
Go Nuggets.
Monday's show and see what that looks like, because this is going to be – there's a game every night. I mean, there's only 1 day off in between games for both of these series. So that's pretty interesting. But before we get to the NBA, I do want to spend some time on the PGA because we have odds that are at this point just about 15 minutes old. So let's get to them before they get even more outdated. And here's what they are. Scotty Scheffler, the heavy favorite. And then you have Bryson DeChambeau, who's actually leading, is the co-second favorite, along with Victor Hovland, who's 2 strokes back. Corey Connors, Patrick Cantlay,
Where's
really
Straka?
started this round. I'm really surprised, Jim. I picked Rory to win this tournament, and he had a terrible front nine. But he's only, what is that, the sixth choice now at 20-1? I mean, so he's back in this.
That's insane. Yeah, I have Finau, and I also have Schauffele. Yeah, neither is Schauffele.
Also not off to a good start.
But that's okay. Yeah. All these guys. We talked about it this morning when you were getting all upset, and Rory was like +3 and blah blah blah.
I mean, really, I admit it.
If you were definitely on tilt, that's a good way to put it. Look, if you're +2 after day one, even +3 after day one, you're okay. You just have to have a decent day two, make the cut, because really, I mean, I think the leader after day two is probably going to be somewhere in the -6 range. And really, his history tells us that -8, -9 is going to be good enough to win this tournament. So if you're holding around even at the end of day two, that's all that really matters. So if you start +3 or +2, you're okay. You're not going to get knocked out on day one unless you like do what Jon Rahm did. And even Jon Rahm, would you be shocked if he came back and shot 65 tomorrow and got back to even or whatever? I mean, come on.
That was going to be my next point. Is like, would you sprinkle anything on Jon Rahm at 125-1? I mean,
absolutely.
Would it shock anyone if he got back?
Absolutely. I think there's as much chance for Rahm to win this thing now as there was Bryson before the thing started. And Bryson was +11,000, +10,000 some places. Somebody told me they got him at +12,000. So yeah, put a couple bucks, because I guarantee he's gonna have a better day tomorrow. I would be very surprised if he doesn't make the cut. I'm thinking the cut's gonna be somewhere around +3, +4. He's at +5, correct?
He is at +6.
+6. So that means he needs to shoot at least 68 tomorrow, 67, somewhere like that to make the cut. But would anyone be surprised if he shot 65?
I mean, 65 might be. I'd probably take the over on that. But
Jon Rahm.
But Data Golf gives the cut a 70% chance of being either +5 or +6. So,
okay, there you go. So he's like right on the cut line already.
Yeah, he may not even need to shoot better than even par. Now he's going to have to play in the afternoon tomorrow, so conditions could be tougher. But Data Golf gives him a 46% chance of making the cut. So he's still just a coin flip at this point.
Last year, JT went on a big roll. I think finished -5 to get in the playoff and won it. So I think -5 is probably a little low, but I think -6, -7 is going to be somewhere good enough to get in there and win the thing or get in the playoff. And so he is 12 shots behind that at the moment. So to make up 12 shots over the course of 3 days, he's Jon Rahm. He certainly could do it. He is definitely worth a flyer at +12.5. You put $1 down and you get $125 if he comes back and wins. It's worth a shot.
Or I mean, even barring that, I'm going to look it up here. Like, what about him to finish top 20 at this point? I'll bet you could still get 5-1.
I know this. JT going into the final round last year when he came back and won. Now, coming back from 7 shots has only happened once before he did it in the PGA Championship. So it's not likely. But the fact that, we've seen players in this tournament specifically. When Phil won, nobody wanted to win. Nobody wanted to win the damn thing 2 years ago. Phil just kind of won because nobody else won, and he was just steady as she goes. So it's something about this tournament. If you can get yourself within a reasonable amount, you can win the thing if you go on a heater. And so Jon Rahm is certainly capable of going on a heater. And like I said, $2 at +125 to win 250, or $1 or 50 cents even if you don't bet a whole lot. You put 50 cents on it, he wins, you get, what is that, 67.50 or something along those lines?
So Jon Rahm is +330 to finish top 20.
Yeah, that's
if he makes the cut, you're talking about 65 players. You don't think he can't outplay 40 of those guys over the last 2 days of the tournament? I mean,
we're not saying we think it's going to happen. We're saying we think it's worth a flyer for $1 or whatever to go out there and win over $100.
Yeah. I like the top 20 or top 10 type bet a little bit better, because then you have a better chance of winning the thing. I mean, for him to win at this point is really a long shot. So even though the value may be there, it's tough. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk some NBA. Lots of comments on the NBA so far. Daniel Berry says, watch it be Nuggets and Heat. He wants the Heat. The people want the people want Lakers and Celtics. I guarantee you that.
Boring.
I don't know.
Give me
I don't know
Nuggets and
which
Heat.
people, but yeah.
I don't know what people that is either. Well, I mean, look, everybody and their grandma watched the Lakers make this big comeback, so they're all over the Lakers. I mean, daily best bets, we've been doing pretty well on the NBA the past week and a half after a really rough couple weeks, but we've been doing much better as of late. Tonight, we have the Nuggets -5. I think, why is this spread any different than it was before game one? It should be, to me at least, you got 5.5 now. It was 5 earlier today. So I guess it's 5.5 now, but I still like the Nuggets.
Well,
you know,
game one was juiced up. It started as -4 and went all the way up to -6. This one kind of went the other way down to, and this is what I've been kind of referencing. This is very interesting because to me, Jim, if you're either team, you have some positives you can take away from game one. And I've seen their fan bases do it. I follow a lot of Lakers fans and I follow a few Nuggets fans. I know people in both parts of the country, and the Lakers fans are saying, look, the Nuggets shot 50% from three. Joker poured in that ridiculous 3-pointer at the third quarter buzzer. Murray threw in a 3-pointer at the shot clock buzzer in the fourth quarter. Like, there's no way they can repeat that. And the Lakers, despite all that,
I love no way. There's no way.
Offense.
There's no way so-and-so can do such and such.
Yeah, I mean, and so, but on the flip side, the Nuggets can say, well, look, now we only need to win 3 out of the final 6 games. We've already got one in the bank. That we played high altitude, which is going to be an advantage on just one day of rest. Anthony Davis and LeBron James are both long in a tooth. They both had to play 42 minutes in high altitude on Tuesday. Can they turn around and do that again tonight? Is AD going to go for 40 again at any point?
Zach froze up. I'm going to kind of take over here, and hopefully he can return shortly. One thing I think that's also missing in this is the fact that I think it's going to be kind of the opposite of the other night. I think and Zach is back. I think it's going to be the Lakers. Yeah, you're back. I think the Lakers are going to start strong here. And hence one of our daily best bets is I like Lakers money line in the first half, which is, you can find it as high as, well, earlier you could anyway. You can find it as high as +150, anywhere from +130 to +150. I like Lakers first half, but I think that what you talk about with the altitude is going to play more of an effect in the second half of this game than it will at any other point, because you're talking about back-to-back games here in Denver with just one day of rest. So I like the Lakers. They're going to focus on Jokic, who, you know, you talk about how he came out of the gate just going insane in that first quarter. Well, they're going to have so much focus on Jokic. I like Jamal Murray tonight. I like the Nuggets to play better in the second half. Again, I think also LeBron, one of our daily best bets is LeBron over assists 6.5. Reason why I like that is I think he's going to do whatever it takes to win this game. I think he'll be dishing it off, especially in the first half. He'll have plenty of assists in the first half, maybe 4 or 5, even 6 assists in the first half. That's a number I really like. So those are things that I'm looking for tonight. Although in the end, when it comes down to it, I think the Nuggets are the better team. I don't think there's any question the Nuggets are the better team of these two. And I think in this altitude, I think the games in LA will be much closer. I definitely think the Lakers win at least one in LA, but I don't think they win tonight. I like the Nuggets. I think -260 is a little on the fence, maybe a tinge too high. But I think they win going away at the end, especially when the fouls get in there. Where you were lucky to get a push if you took the Lakers in game one, I think the Nuggets bettors might be a little bit lucky here. I think it'll be close until towards the end. Looks like the Lakers bettors are going to cover, and I think the Nuggets are going to come out of nowhere towards the end, maybe some free throws, and win it by 8 or 10.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think the Nuggets are the better team. It's interesting shifting over to the East, where neither Denver nor the Lakers has lost a home game yet in the playoffs. Not one. And so if that holds, it'll go to 7 and Denver will have home court. On the other hand, the Celtics have a better road record than they do a home record in the playoffs. And that was almost the case in last year's playoffs too, if you remember. I mean, they're winning road games. And they coughed another one up at home in game one against the Heat. So, I don't know what to make of the Celtics. I will say this: in the East, the biggest mismatch between these two teams might be coaching. Erik Spoelstra.
Oh, there's no question.
It's just a masterclass.
He's insane.
And Joe Mazzulla is he's struggling in his first playoffs. Now, his team's good enough to where it hasn't mattered. But
well, I will say this about that series as we go into game 2 tomorrow. A lot of people say the Celtics are hard to predict. I think it's the opposite. I think when they don't have to win, they don't. When they have to win, they do. So, tomorrow's kind of one where they have to win. So I like the Celtics tomorrow. But in Miami, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm telling you right now, I would not be surprised at all if Miami wins both of those games in Miami. It's 3-1 coming back to Boston. They win game 5, squeak out game 6, and then win game 7. I think this series is going 7 games. I kind of thought that from the beginning. I should have made a Celtics in 7 bet. I don't know what the odds on that would have been. Probably different than they are now. But I think the Celtics are still going to end up winning this series. But I think the Heat are a lot closer than anybody thinks. That's why we liked them yesterday. I was pretty ticked at myself for not taking that money line and just taking a spread bet. Could have made a little bit more there, especially if I spread out my money and took 10 or $15 from the spread bet and put it on the money line. But I tell you, I really think this one's going down to the wire. But I do think the Celtics win tomorrow. And
yeah, I agree with you, and I think Daniel Berry's got
Lakers
in 7. See,
a lot of Lakers fans who said Lakers in 5 are now saying Lakers in 7 because they thought they were going to win game 1.
I mean, the home court advantage goes up significantly in a game 7, and now we did see,
especially in Denver,
the Warriors win in Sacramento in game 7. But it took a masterclass from Steph Curry. Like, is it possible? Yeah. Yes, but to me, if I'm the Lakers, and that's why I think the Nuggets have reason to feel positive, even though they almost blew that lead. At this point, if you can win tonight and then win game 5, worst case scenario, you're going to be home for game 7.
Yeah.
And that's only if the Lakers can. I mean, that people don't realize how big of an advantage it is, even to be up 1-0. They're only 2 home wins away from being at home for game 7 in a worst case scenario.
People don't want to hear this, but Denver's the best team remaining in the playoffs. That doesn't mean they're going to win. I'm not saying, I think they're going to win. I think they have the best chance to win of everyone left. But I think I don't even, we can debate it all you want, but someone would need to prove to me why they think the Lakers or the Celtics or the Heat are better than the Nuggets, because the Nuggets to me are the best overall raw talented team. And other than Spoelstra, I think they have the best coach as well, but we'll see. Can the Nuggets do what they did in game 1? And you're talking about the shooting. I don't know that they have to. People say they can't do that again. Well, maybe they can't, but why do they need to do that again? They just need to be who they are.
Do what they did.
The Lakers
shot 42% from 3, and they're not a very good 3-point shooting team. AD got 40. He was great, but we all know. I mean, listen,
AD's not getting 40 again.
Yeah, we know that AD can go up and down. He's had injury concerns throughout his entire career. These playoffs are no different. So I don't think either team can keep up that offensive level. So we may see, instead of 132, 126 like game 1, you may see 112, 106 tonight, one way or the other.
AD's one little poke in the eye or one little twist of the ankle from missing a game. We all know that as well.
Super interesting stuff. Here are the title odds: Celtics and Nuggets both plus 150. We showed these to you when we gave you the poll results, and I agree with Daniel here. D'Lo needs to play better. The Lakers, they struggled when they had their small lineup on the floor in that game. That is for sure. They need, and that's why LeBron and AD played 42 minutes each, and Hachimura played, I think, 39 minutes or something. I mean, they need those bigger guys out there. So we'll see if they can keep that up at the altitude in Denver for 4 more quarters tonight. All right, let's. I
got Hachimura as part. I did for the first time, I think, in maybe a few weeks. I did one of those long parlays, and I got Hachimura over 2 threes in there. So he has to hit at least 2 threes.
He's been real key to this.
He might be my favorite Laker. I'm not I do not like the Lakers, but he might be my favorite Laker. I like the way he plays basketball.
All right, let's move on to our next topic, and that will be the Preakness, which is coming up Saturday, Jim. And you won a bunch of money on Mage in the Kentucky Derby.
I did,
but you're fading him. I mean, we need you to tell us where the hot bet is, so we can all.
Well, I think Mage kind of had the right exact position to come up out of nowhere and just creep along up through the middle and then around the sides. So I'm not a big Mage fan here, and I think those odds are ridiculously low on that horse. You're talking about a horse that was 15-1 to win the Derby, won the Derby, but I'm not sure is the best horse in this race. I don't like any of the long shots either, though. A friend of mine kind of likes Coffee with Chris a little bit if you're looking for a long shot to bet. But I think First Mission and National Treasure are probably going to be an exacta box for me. Bob Baffert's horse, National Treasure, in that race. And Bob Baffert has been under fire, let's just say, as of late. So he might be have a little extra motivation going on here. So I like National Treasure to be part. So I'll have some trifecta boxes as well. It will include both of those horses in there.
I like that. I also think if you're sort of a superstitious person, Blazing Sevens drawing the 7 post, and who knows, might be 7-1 odds by the time you get to Saturday.
That's like saying, I like the color red, so I'm going to pick the 49ers to win. I mean,
sometimes it works. Listen, you of all people know, sometimes you just bet horses because you have a feeling, and that's what
true.
Works out.
Yeah, that's very true. I got my best advice for the Kentucky Derby came from the Birmingham Stallion mascot, who wrote Mage on a sheet and said, made me go do research on Mage, and that's why I ended up liking the horse. And look, there's no way you can win unless long shots come through here in the Preakness. It is much harder to win a lot of money in the Preakness than it is in the Derby. There are 18 to 20 to 22 horses in the Derby, and here there are only 8. So it's much harder. The trifecta number is going to be much lower in this race than it's going to be in the Derby. I'm not going to win $2,200 again. It's just not going to happen. So if I win a few $100, I'll be thrilled. And actually, like most things, if I finish on the positive side of the ledger, I'm going to be pretty happy. So that's all I'm really looking forward to here. And again, I like the 1-8 exacta box is probably going to be my number one play. Unlike the last race when I bet, not only did I bet Mage, I put Mage in exacta box. I had Mage in trifecta boxes. Everything hit. I bet on Mage, the horse itself, and won a nice chunk there. I will not be betting on an individual horse here. Doesn't make any sense at these numbers.
Yeah, and one thing to keep in mind when you compare these odds to the Derby odds, there was 18 horses that ended up being in the Derby, 17. Yeah. There was a couple scratches, but there's only 8 horses in this race. So the odds by nature are going to be lower. Right. And that's always the case. There's never as many horses. It's only 2 weeks in between a lot of those horses. They don't want to run that hard. But if you're chasing the Triple Crown, you throw somebody back out there. So Mage is back out there, but you'll notice a lot of these names are different than they were in the Derby. So we'll talk about those results on Monday. We'll see if we have a Triple Crown hopeful by Monday going to the Belmont. And in the meantime, we'll also have an SEC baseball tournament to talk about, Jim. LSU baseball starting here in about 40 minutes or so in Athens, Georgia, with Paul Skeens on the mound. That's why they're minus 300 favorites. The issue for LSU has been when anybody besides Paul Skeens is on the mound.
Yeah, and anyone besides their starters are on the mound because their bullpen has
been good too. But yeah,
their bullpen has been god awful. Little on day 3 has been not good as the third day starter. So, look, the good thing is when you get into the World Series, it's a little bit more spread out. You can use guys a little bit differently, assuming that they get that far. But they've got to get through these regional and super regionals. And you talk about being one of those top 8 seeds. It's super important. It is super important in college baseball to be one of those top 8 seeds. Not saying you can't win without getting it, but that's why, you win here. And not only that, you're going to not only be top 8, but you're probably going to be top 3 or 4. But they're on the cusp now. They've got to win this series. I think that's why I really like them this weekend. I think they know now there's no more fooling around. I don't necessarily like the way that Johnson has managed this team the last month or so as well. We'll see if things change a little bit, but they have got to figure things out in the bullpen, and they've got to hit on a consistent basis, not just come up with 7 runs in an inning, because you can't always count for that to happen. Earl Weaver is long gone.
Yeah. Look, I think that there's a lot of panic around the LSU fan base after the last 2 weeks. I don't think the team has panicked yet, but Agreed. I think the team may start to panic if they lose this series. Because then
I don't know. This team doesn't seem like a panic type team. I mean, we'll see if you're right, but well, actually, we may not see if you're right, because I think they're going to win this series and be just fine. I do not. We've talked about this before. I don't think either one of us thinks they're going to win the SEC tournament, because the SEC tournament is probably going to be tougher than anything they're going to face the rest of the year, just because of the format and having to play so many games in so many days. It's not like a regular series, and it's not spread out, and it's not a short series in 3 days. It's what,
right.
Maybe 5-6 games in 3 or 4 days. So there's a big difference. And so I give their odds of winning the SEC tournament not great, but I like them when they get to regional and super regional, and maybe even College World Series. Let me see what the field looks like.
If we put odds on them just to make it to Omaha, be one of the final 8 teams standing, let's give it even money odds. Are you taking that bet?
Yeah, I'm taking even money. I was going to say, I would probably put it at even money, and that's about what I would bet. I think they have an even money chance to make it to Omaha. 50-50 is about right.
And we will update that. Of course, they play Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week. And then by Monday, we will have an SEC tournament bracket and hopefully some odds from Hoover, Alabama as well. Is it Hoover? Hoover. Yeah, Hoover, Alabama, outside Birmingham, where the SEC tournament is. I want to remind you all, subscribe to the Bayou Bets YouTube channel. Get Jim and I live every Monday and Thursday at 4 o'clock, plus some bonus videos. We got lots to add over the summer. Hopefully by football season, we're really going to have this train rolling on the tracks.
We'll see. We got to find stuff to talk about at times in the summer, but we will find. And I think we're both here, and I know on Datitude we're taking a couple of weeks off of the Datitude podcast, but trying to get some good guests lined up for June. Might take a little break again, and then as we get closer to football season, as we did last year. Last year we had Mickey Loomis on, we had Jim Mora on, Ricky Jackson was on at some point. So, this is the time we're trying to find good guests and open up the conversation to not just talk, because once we get into August, we start being more specific when you talk about the Saints, not this overreaching thing. So we're going to have some fun topics to talk about, I'm sure, over the course of the summer. That is when you and I are both here at the same time, which may not be a whole bunch.
Apparently. Spencer the Guru will be around as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll have some backup. But speaking of fun things to talk about, we do have a couple of rants to finish today's show up with.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go to the world of Major League Baseball, Jim. I'm going to leave the final floor for you because I think we may talk about that one for a minute. But my rant stems from the Yankees Blue Jays series in Major League Baseball that just wrapped up last night. And I don't know how many saw it. Aaron Judge had a home run right after he was kind of caught on TV cameras, kind of side-eyeing the dugout. Almost as if they were tipping the pitch to him. And look, pitch tipping has existed in baseball for more than 100 years. Like if a pitcher is giving up what pitch he's going to throw and the other team picks up on it, well, that's fair game. But we all know from the Astros scandal in 2017 that sometimes, if you're using outside help to do that, if you're using cameras to steal catcher signs, well, now you've gone too far. But my issue with all of this, and I'm not even talking about the strike zone, and Jim, you and I both agree there ought to be a computerized strike zone or at least a challenge system for teams to fix egregious errors in these games, because the way the break and speed is on these pitches, it's just too hard for the human eye to call anyway. So we have the technology, let's use it. But I'm talking about more sort of these unwritten rules, or now they're starting to become written rules. You can't use technology to steal signs. And the other one is sticky stuff, where you can use rosin, but only to a certain point. If it's too sticky, you can't use rosin anymore. Well, that's a subjective measure. And we saw Max Scherzer get suspended a few weeks ago in LA because the umpire Phil Cuzzi deemed that his substance was too sticky. But it was just rosin. Now, it wasn't an illegal substance. Then we had Domingo Germán, the Yankees pitcher, get ejected from a game in Toronto, same series as the Judge incident, and he gets ejected by the same umpire, Phil Cuzzi, too sticky. Well, what if Phil Cuzzi thinks a certain level of stickiness is too sticky, while other umpires apparently are letting that go? Baseball's got a real problem with consistently enforcing these rules. And I think what's happening is teams are starting to try to push the envelope. They're starting to try to figure out where the line is. And then some are getting caught while others aren't. And it's creating this uneven playing environment.
Golf has the stimp meter. Baseball could have the stick meter. You could, what also I want to ask you, you talk about pitch tipping. Is that like cow tipping? Are those two anything?
Totally different thing.
Oh,
Totally
okay. Just making sure. Look, I am by far and away the furthest thing from a Yankees fan. And I say the same thing about the Astros. I don't care. I really don't care if you're finding out the signs, if you figured out the signs. I don't care how you figured them out. If you're using technology to figure them out, good for you. I mean, everyone's trying to find a leg up and is doing this. Teams that I like, teams that I don't like. They all try to find ways to get a leg up. I don't care. Bravo. Good job, Astros, when they were beating on the garbage can. Good job. I'm all for it. If you can find a way to cheat and get away, if you can find a way to cheat and get away with it, then good for you. You're better than some of your opponents. Now, the Astros got caught, and apparently it wasn't legal to beat her in a garbage can when you're looking through binoculars or whatever the hell they were doing to steal signs. But I've never had a problem with stealing signs. If you're too stupid to change your signs, if you think someone's got them, because apparently the Dodgers were all flustered because they thought the Astros had their signs. Well, change them. I mean, are you guys not smart enough to figure out how to change your signs? That's your own problem. But I certainly agree with the part of your rant that says that MLB is not consistent at all on different rules. And I agree 100% because they've shown that. And different umpires call things different ways. They call strikes different ways. They call balks different ways. They call step. We saw an instance, I believe it was a Cubs game the other night in the Astros where they called the pitcher for a pitch clock violation. And so there was kind of an argument, a little mini argument. The batter stepped out. And as he went to step back in, the argument's over. Now, wait, you were disengaged for too long. So, I mean, come on. I mean, I love the new rules, but the umpires are, sometimes I think they just throw wrenches.
Jim, I think Jim may have frozen. Is it me or is it Jim? But I agree with him. It's maybe we're both frozen. Okay, I guess I'm okay. Jim's frozen. That's a new twist. But Jim's right. I mean, look, there's no consistency in Major League Baseball rules enforcement. And I think it's a real problem for the game. The game has progressed in a lot of other ways. The pitch clock is a brilliant thing, and it's made the games faster. It's made them more entertaining. But we have an issue with consistency of rules. All right, so we have a rant from Jim coming that I'm going to get to. But we're going to let Jim hopefully work his way back online here. And in the meantime, let's update the PGA Championship odds from Caesars Sportsbook, our official sponsor. From earlier in the show, we had Scotty Scheffler, the plus 230 favorite. He's now sitting at plus 220. So almost the same odds, just a little bit better. Bryson DeChambeau in the clubhouse with the lead at 4 under par. He's at 10-1. Victor Hovland 11-1. Patrick Cantlay, Corey Connors both 14-1, followed by Rory McIlroy at 18-1. And so that's a little bit better. And then at 25-1, Keegan Bradley and Dustin Johnson. Sepp Straka out of the afternoon wave started 3 under through 8 holes, but he's all the way down at 125-1. So if you're looking for, it looks like he's about to bogey a hole though. If you're looking for a long shot bet who's already in the mix. In fact, he did bogey the 9th hole, so he's down to 2 under. But 125-1. Again, same price as John Rahm, who's all the way at 6 over par. So, listen, you never know. It's early. I was tilting with Jim earlier today about Rory McIlroy playing poorly and, these issues and those issues. But the fact of the matter is a 72-hole golf tournament is a heck of a long time. And we're going to see what happens over the 3 weekends. Or over the 3 days of the weekend. So this is the Bayou Bets channel. Jim just said his internet just completely quit on him. So we're going to see what's going on with him. His rant actually, strangely enough, did have to do with internet cutting out. YouTube TV had a big glitch right in the closing minutes of the Heat and Celtics game last night, where a lot of customers, and there's 83,000 YouTube TV customers in the New Orleans area, did not get to see the end of that game. So here's Jim's rant. Was he's okay with YouTube TV glitching, not okay with the NFL putting a playoff game on Peacock. Jim, maybe we'll save this rant for Monday. I don't think he's going to work his way back, but I will say this. Streaming sports is becoming more and more difficult for sports fans to get what they want, just to get what you used to be able to get on your basic cable or satellite package. Now you have to get it on 6 different. You have to have a Peacock, you have to have an ESPN Plus, you have to have Amazon Prime, you have to have Paramount Plus, you have to have YouTube TV or Sling, or you have to pay DirecTV a whole bunch of money to get this. YouTube TV is going to have NFL Sunday Ticket. Peacock's going to have an NFL playoff game now. It's becoming more expensive and more difficult for that to happen. So that's one topic we will talk about this summer on Bayou Bets. But for now, given some of this technical difficulties, we are going to sign off for the day. We appreciate you all being here. Subscribe to the Bayou Bets YouTube channel. Hopefully we'll have a little bit better luck coming through the entire hour for you on Monday. But for our producer, Zoe Collins-Rath, and for Jim Derry, I'm Zach Ewing. Thanks for watching Bayou Bets.